So I wanted to talk to you about AI, what that means for people starting out on their journey, and also what that means for the world of work as we're kind of looking ahead into the future. And one of the things that I know that lots of organizations struggle with is there's lots of talk about AI and innovation, and lots of people don't really know how to leverage that for their business or even where to start. So I was wondering if you could kind of share some tips or tricks about how to help people start out on that journey.
Yeah, so one of the things is figuring out what the problem is what do you want to fix? So as an engineer, we've long learned that you just don't create great products that nobody wants. It's just like taking AI. It's like looking at what you're doing, looking at the business unit and saying, okay, what is broken here? Is it that I keep losing my employees? Like they turn around every 2 seconds? Like, okay, that's a problem. Is there some way to bring in AI to keep them there, keep them happier, keep them more engaged? Or is it that, I'm losing money, like every product I create is just costing too much? Like, okay, let's look at that. Maybe AI can address some of the issues or the steps in the workflow.
So it's more about identifying, is there a challenge there? And actually working out if AI can help with that challenge rather than just using AI for AI's sake.
Correct. And every business has a challenge, right? Like it's going to be different, but every business has something that they want to improve on. That's where AI is the most effective and efficient because it doesn't address a problem you don't have, which means that anything you do with it is going to be better. And so it's a win-win.
And I guess what we hear a lot about is how AI is going to displace, hundreds and thousands and millions of jobs. But actually, are there aspects of it that could actually enhance the employee experience?
I think so. So one of the things people do say is like this job displacement and replacement. But the fact is I look at computer science, right? I think about 20 years ago, if you looked at the job boards, like where was computer science? Now you look at the job boards, you're like, oh my gosh, we don't have enough computer scientists. Yep. Like who could have predicted that? I think it's going to be the same. I think there are going to be jobs that are replaced that don't exist. But I think in 10, 20 years, there's going to be a job board of like all the jobs that didn't exist today. We have to figure out how to retrain for those.
And picking up on the training then, and I know that one of the things that you think about is augmented reality. And how can you use that to train your people to make them able to do those jobs that perhaps aren't on the job board today?
Yeah, so one of the nice things about augmented reality is being in the classroom without having to go to the classroom, which is great. It means that, if you're an adult and you are working, you already have some basic skills. Reading, writing, arithmetic. So how can I carve the next set of steps for a task based on what I know as your profile? If you think about even, I'll use computer science or data science, like the very first computer scientists were mathematicians. Like, how do you retrain mathematicians to think about like sequences of code, right? Like that kind of thing we can use with AI to train in terms of new jobs.
And one of the things that's been in the news a lot over recent months is privacy, ethics issues. I'd just be interested to hear your perspective on whether they play a role when you're looking at new AI technologies.
Yeah, so I think a lot about this aspect of privacy and ethics. And so one of the issues with privacy is how do we gain benefits from all the things that are out there in terms of we want personalized health, we want personalized interactions, we want an AI agent that's personalized to us. But that means it has our data. But what we don't want is that data being used to abuse our relationship. And that's really where it is. And so when we think about privacy, it's not really that we do care about how our data is being used, but we want to make sure it's being used for good. But I think if companies were transparent, you give us a choice then, and really transparent, not here's 5 pages of consent and line 5 says I'm going to use your data, but it really is, look, we are going to use your data to improve your quality of life, right? If you like that, we also need to use this data to improve others' quality of life. Do you accept this as a responsibility? I think a lot of people would be like, sure, okay. Yeah. I think that's it.
It's the informed consent, isn't it? So if people understand what's happening with it, actually, then if you're transparent, then these ethical issues shouldn't really arise.
Well, they will arise, but at least you're aware of it, right? Because again, some mistakes still happen, right? But I think if you're aware and the mistakes happen, you're not so angry, right? You're not so like, oh my gosh, they abuse their power, because you're like, yeah, I did know that that could happen, and it happened. And I'm upset, but that's the price of doing business versus they lied to me, they deceived me. It's just slightly a different way of looking at it.